Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a great webinar today with Ellen Prassel, one of our resources here with Art Jetter and Company. And as you have questions, please type your questions in the question box on your control panel at the bottom on the right side of your screen, or also the chat box, and we will answer questions here at the end of the presentation. After the webinar, please give me a call to receive a copy of today's webinar and to answer any additional questions you may have. Thanks again for joining us today. Alan, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Alex. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me. Today we're going to talk about the Art Jetter and Company's JET platform, which is a drop ticket platform. I'd like to begin by giving you a very brief overview of the history of the platform, which began 5 years ago. It was initially built as an answer to how do we sell small face, low premium term insurance profitably. And from there, it has grown into the answer to selling insurance in a manner that customers like to buy it and advisors like to sell it as efficiently as possible. So let's turn to the agenda slide, please, and we're going to talk today about your JET experience and your client's JET experience. Then I'll give you an overview of a demonstration and handle any questions that you may have. The next slide. First, we're going to talk about, as I said, a better selling experience for you. And the reason most advisors prefer it is it's very convenient. It's 100% digital. That means you can take a ticket, you can drop a ticket from your desktop, your laptop, a tablet, a smartphone. There is absolutely no paper involved. When it comes to signatures, there are no wet signatures, so you'll never miss a signature. And there are no forms. There are no paper forms, so you'll always have the right form. All the questions will be answered, and they will all be legible. And if you look at just those, that pretty much covers almost 100% of the issues that advisors may have when taking a paper application. When they get a response from the carrier and through the agency, oh, you forgot to get this signature. We can't read this question. You forgot to check this box. Whatever it may be, which just causes, quite frankly, aggravation. And for a small term sale initially, it was time that you didn't want to spend. So it definitely was much more convenient for the advisor. This platform is a multi-carrier, multi-product platform on one URL. So you don't have to jump around from carrier to carrier, finding out where you get in to drop their drop ticket with their password and their login ID. One login, one ID, 9 carriers. You have term and GUL, and those 3 pluses I'm going to address in a little while. And it is the same process for all carriers and all products. So you don't need to know if you're going to sell carrier A versus carrier B. You don't need to know anything different. Carrier A versus carrier F, you don't need to know anything different. All right. Finally, it's very efficient. It eliminates any travel or drive time, so you don't have to go see anybody. You don't need to have any face-to-face contact. It's not required. And you don't have to ask those invasive, personal, or uncomfortable questions of your client. That's left to an administrative professional whose business it is to not only ask those questions, but ask the reflexive questions that the company and the underwriters are going to want to have answers to while they're underwriting the case. Finally, when it comes to efficiency, almost all carriers have e-delivery, so you don't even have to take the policy out to your client to deliver it. It can be e-delivered, and as I mentioned before, when you submit a ticket and the app goes into the carrier, it is always in good order. From the time you quote a case to the client, you determine the need, you could quote the case and drop the ticket in 6 minutes or less. That's pretty efficient. In that time, then you set up you let the client know that they'll receive a phone call and possibly a paramed exam. Let's talk about the better buying experience for the client. It's very convenient for them. As I mentioned before, 6 minutes they'll spend 6 minutes with you after the decision is made, and it's done. The conversations that follow that 6-minute interview are on their terms. They're done when and where and they want those conversations to take place. They can be at home. They can be in their car. They can be at their office. They can be on vacation. They can be anywhere. And we've done these interviews just about everywhere. We've done a lot of them in cars driving to and from work. That's interesting. And in many cases, you have the opportunity for a warm transfer. So immediately after you've collected the information to drop the ticket, you can actually say, if you want to do it now, I can transfer you to the fulfillment center, and they'll take your information. It takes about 30 minutes. If they say they want to do it then, you can do it then. Otherwise, they can say, no, let's do it next Wednesday at 8 in the morning, or 6 at night, or Thursday, or whatever. But it's at their convenience. And it's flexible in case things need to change. They tell you they want to do it Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Something comes up and they have to do it Thursday or some other day. Easy to change. Again, there's no face-to-face meeting with the advisor required for the presentation or the delivery. So if you have a business client who takes out a loan for $500,000 and needs life insurance to secure that loan, they can call you up, say, I need $500,000 worth of term insurance to cover this. You can drop a ticket for 10-year term in 6 minutes, arrange all the calls, you're done. Never have to see them, very quick. Also, it's a better buying experience for the client because of accelerated underwriting. Drop ticket and electronic submission in general is required to access accelerated underwriting for almost every carrier out there. It is automatic for all carriers that are offering accelerated underwriting, and it may eliminate the paramed exam and a face-to-face visit from a paramed. Additionally, it improves the buying experience for the client because of professional interactions. When they speak to the advisor, they're getting professional analysis and advice. When that is concluded, they go to a professional administrator at the fulfillment center. And they are specifically trained in getting the information, how to get the information, getting the most accurate information, and getting that to the insurance company. At our Jetter & Company on Jet, there are 5 carriers that are working on their proprietary system: AIG, SBLI, Prudential, American National, and John Hancock, with more coming. Those are the carriers that you can do a warm transfer for. Those are the 5 right now that you could do, and they're the only ones you could do a warm transfer for. 2 other carriers, Legal and General America, Banner, and Protective, have their proprietary systems. They're very, very good as well. And you will have Banner moving over to the Jet proprietary system in the next 6 to 8 weeks. There are 2 carriers with third-party administrative fulfillment centers, Mutual of Omaha and Pacific Life, but we expect Pacific Life to join the Jet proprietary call center in the next week or so. So then you'll have 7, and then eventually 8 carriers that are on that system. The real advantage of the proprietary system and the carrier systems, the Legal and General American Protective, is by the numbers, about 25% of the cases that are submitted as tickets stay as tickets above the ones that are done by a third-party system. So for every 4 tickets you submit, for every 5 you submit, about 3 of them will go through a third-party system and stay in drop ticket. If you're using Jet, you'll have 4 or more stay within the drop ticket system. So that proprietary system that's used for Jet is very, very desirable. And quite frankly, as you talk to your clients, you'll learn digital is expected. People are comfortable and used to doing things digitally. It's more professional, and they appreciate it. They don't, as handsome or pretty as you might be, they don't necessarily want to see you. So that being said, let's talk about the carriers and the products that are available in the fulfillment. For AIG, you can have term, and because of the proprietary fulfillment center, for AIG, American National, John Hancock, Prudential, and SBLI, currently, not only can you do term and GUL, but you can use drop ticket to apply for any product they offer except variable. So if you were using Prudential and you wanted to do Founders Plus, which is neither term nor GUL, you could put in a comments box, and I'll show you the comments box as soon as we do the demo. You do the comments box, you say, do not issue the 20-year term I applied for. I want this issued as Founders Plus. Let's show you what it looks like. How do you get to Jet on Jetter's website? So here's a picture of the Jetter & Company website. You log in. On the next slide, you go to under quotes and apps. You go to life insurance. The next slide, you see on the left there, Launch Jet. So you press Launch Jet, and this is the screen that will come up. This is absolutely intuitive, but I'll walk you through it anyway. You will either have, if you've already registered, you will have a login name and password. You put those in. If you don't already have an account, you can self-register by clicking on the register box, filling in the information, and then going forward. So once you've logged in or registered, you'll go to the quote screen where you'll enter the person's state, date of birth, gender, whether or not they smoke. If you know their rate class or you suspect want to quote a particular rate class, you put it in there. Tell them the type of insurance. We're using 20-year term, face amount of $500,000. And in the carrier box, you can, if you know you want to quote Banner as an example, you can put in Banner, and that's the only quote you'll get. If you don't put in a carrier, leave it as select, and then go on the bottom right-hand corner. You see the little quote tab. Click on quote. It says you can sort annually or monthly. You can. It's not going to make a lot of difference. But then you go to you click on quote, and the following page comes up. On top is the information you've already put in, and then here come all your quotes. So you see all the carriers that have quotes. You can look at them all and decide. Remember, your client can't see this unless you're sharing their screen. I know of no one that shares screens. This is for you to do. You look at the quotes. You decide the carrier you want. You'll notice above on that first line under quick quote, you'll see request carrier appointment. If you don't have an appointment with, let's say you're going to sell Banner and you're not appointed with Banner, you can click on request carrier appointment. That'll send an email to Art Jetter and Company, and they'll begin the appointment process for you. So just because you're not appointed doesn't mean you can't sell any one of these carriers. Also, you'll notice to the right of some of the carriers, little blue dots. If you'll change to the next slide, the little blue dot just tells you something about that carrier. In this case, SBLI. This is an accelerated underwriting product. It requires no labs or in-person paramedical exam. And each one of those blue dots says something different about that carrier or about that product. All right, let's assume that you've selected Banner because of their upcoming process that will be out next week. You'll get to the Banner questions. Again, no matter which carrier you pick, the process is identical. The questions may change slightly. As an example, on this Banner sheet, you'll see the highlighted word is in yellow. Any question that's highlighted that has a yellow highlight must be answered. So you'll see those. For this one, you put in the person's name. Banner only wants the last four of the social. Some carriers ask for the entire social. That's typical of a difference. Once you've gathered that information, you tell the client, I have just a couple of more questions, and when I'm done, we're going to set a time for you to talk to our fulfillment professionals to get all the information the insurance company needs to underwrite this case. When would you like that call? You give them the date, the time, you get a phone number from them, whether it's their home, their cell, whatever, and that'll be the day and time they call. Then you simply put in their address and the client's email address, because that's how they will talk to the client most frequently, is with that email address. Finally, you'll indicate that whether the proposed insured is the owner. Most often it is not, and you'll go to the next step in the process, which is the policy information. The policy product name will already be in there because you selected it already. Is it a replacement? No. Purpose of insurance, family protection. It's a drop-down box with several opportunities. Do you want to save age? No. Are you a waiver of premium? No. Banner allows you to pick the exam provider if there is an exam. In this case, we've selected EMSI. Temporary insurance agreement, would you like it? The answer should always be no, because during COVID-19, nobody is allowing temporary insurance agreements. Obviously, when COVID-19 goes away, you will be able to do that again if you choose to. But right now, the answer is no for all carriers because nobody's letting you do it. So you always click Save and Continue at the end of a screen, or it won't save it, but it will continue, and then all that information will be lost. You go to the next screen, and this is your agent's report. You put in your agent name, and the agent remarks is what I referred to earlier. Let's assume that you wanted to sell Life Step UL with Banner, which is not available on the menu. You put in there, do not issue the 20-year term. I want to issue this as Life Step UL, and that'll happen. Okay, click Save and Continue. You could put anything in there. In this place, I put in a little note. This is one of 2 applications on a buy-sell, so they know to keep them together. You can put in any remark that's important there. Okay. You continue on. How do they want to pay for it? It's $500,000. Do they want a direct bill or EFT? You'll pick one or the other. I picked direct bill, and I picked annual. You can also pick quarterly, semi-annually, and monthly. And there's the premium amount. You continue. You put in if you're not contracted, you click the box. If you have an agent code, you put it in there. If you want this to go to a particular case manager, you can enter it in there. That is rarely used. Sometimes an agency will hard code that and say this person's cases all go to John Smith as the case manager. And if you do, you put the email address is in there, and all correspondence will go to that specific case manager. Finally, you click the I agree box, which means your electronic signature is good, and the next box is you're done. You have dropped the ticket for $500,000 of 20-year term. Then that should take you less than 6 minutes. That's how easy the platform is. I was also asked to talk about an opportunity you have with Drop Ticket, and that being lead generation. You can actually use this Drop Ticket platform to send out to people or put on your website where they can go in and quote their own 20-year term, 10-year term, whatever the case may be. It looks a lot like the initial screens that you filled out, except they can't go any further than quoting the case. Then it stops, and it will email to you the fact that this person did a quote with their contact information, and you can call them back and then drop the ticket for them or discuss the case or whatever happens. But it's a lead generation tool. The way you do that is on the left is a menu, and if we flip the page, you'll see, pardon me, I got ahead of myself by half a step, forgive me. On that menu, you'll see submitted. This system will keep track of all the cases you have submitted. So if you click on submitted, you'll see them all listed there. If you started to do a quote, the client said, I'm not sure if I want $500,000 or $1 million. I don't know if I want Prudential or Banner. You can stop, and it will become a pending case. So you can go back and look at your pending cases and follow up on those. Now we can move to lead generation. On that same menu, you go to user administration under application management. If you complete that screen, go to the bottom and click on lead generation on, add improvements. That will allow you to select the carriers that you want on your lead generation screen. And when that is done, it'll issue a URL to you. You click save, and you'll have that URL that you'll be able to post to a website or put behind a button and let people do their own lead generation. This is on the next slide, it's what a lead will look like when it comes to you. And then you'll have your leads that you can call on. In summary, for you again, the Jet Drop Ticket platform for you, very convenient, saves a lot of time, and everything you do is iGo. For your clients, again, very convenient. Things happen when they want them to happen at their convenience. Everything is quicker. If you use Drop Ticket instead of a paper app, you'll save probably at least 2 weeks from application to issue. Sometimes more. Some of the new accelerated underwriting systems, Banner will have an instant issue platform in 6 to 8 weeks. Could be sooner, but they're promising 6 to 8 weeks. And some carriers will issue the same day. So there's a lot of speed involved in it, and everything's confidential. Instead of your client telling you all about their medications and their diseases and their whatever, they're telling this professional, and it doesn't go any further. It's very comprehensive, it's very convenient, and it gives the client and you a lot more control. That is as quick of a 19-minute presentation as I've ever done to give you an overview, to show you, what it is and where you get to it and why you use it. I can tell you that the system has been very, very, very well accepted. In fact, it's been doing better than expected until March and April, when it has absolutely exploded because of COVID. It is a very, very easy way to sell life insurance under these current circumstances. So with that, Alex, I'll take any questions, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you taking the time to walk through the Jet Express ticket platform. We do have a few questions here that we'll get into. The first one is, if the EFT is chosen, do they put in the banking info, or does the client, or where does that go?
Yes, if they put an EFT, some carriers will ask for the EFT info immediately. Others will get it upon issue. It'll depend on the carrier, but you will be prompted on the screen whether they want it then or they want it later.
Perfect. Yep. And I do know some carriers also, Alan, they'll do it over the phone when they do the phone call to complete the application.
That is correct. That is correct.
And then we got another question here. With the electronic delivery of policies, will the client also be mailed a hard copy? If not, can we request one?
Again, the answer is no. And can you request a hard copy? Yes.
Perfect. And then another good question here. Can we use this for IUL policies? And I'll add in, are there any other carriers or plans that are going to be added, such as final expense?
First question, can you do IUL? Only for those carriers where the fulfillment center is the Jet proprietary system. Then you can. They are not on the menu. So you would apply for, as an example, 20-year term, and in the comments box, you would write, do not issue 20-year term. I want, razzle-dazzle IUL issued instead. And under those, because the fulfillment center is equipped to handle those, they can get into the process with the carrier. You can. If they are not the Jet proprietary fulfillment center, you cannot. And I forgot the second question.
Any plans for adding final expense or any other carriers that are going to be added?
I will answer it this way. When this system came out, I said you could sell pizzas off this thing. There are plans to continue to expand the products offered. The issues that they face, is final expense one or not? I don't know. Every final expense carrier I know has an electronic system. The question is, will they bring it into the drop ticket scenario, or will they leave it separate? And that's going to be a carrier by carrier decision. But there are definitely plans to add other products. I don't know which ones. The carriers haven't shared that with me. Yes, there are plans to add more. The issues they're trying to overcome are, if you need a signed illustration, well, you've got to get the illustration signed. They're working that out with compliance. Those are things that are being worked out currently. On most GULs don't require a signed illustration. If they do, a lot of the carriers have worked out electronic ways. Otherwise, they have to be mailed out, signed, and mailed back. It's a better solution than no solution, but it's not the ideal solution yet.
Perfect. Okay. And then, James, I got your question here. Yeah, we can get you a copy of the presentation. But any other questions or thoughts from anyone?
It's a pretty simple system. I mean, it's just, even if I'd never done a demo for you, you'd work right through it. It's that intuitive. You just answer the questions.
Yep, for sure. Something I'll add too, Alan, is when you're working with clients, a lot of them, and a lot of you guys are probably used to actually sitting down and completing the whole application with them and kind of, nudging your clients through the process. You still have that ability. We're still here to help, and we can interject whenever we need to make sure things are getting done, such as they don't go through accelerated underwriting and they do need, an APS or something. We can step in and help out as your brokerage general agency. Another thing I think is good, and I can get this to any of you as we're writing policies, is there are next steps flyers, which I think are good to prep your client for that phone call and get ready for everything they're going to need as far as finishing that application. I always think that's good to send out to them. just so they're aware and they know that they can call that carrier back. So, but I guess anything else from you, Alan?
I would add one note. When you do this with a client and they're going to get a phone call, the vast majority are getting them on cell phones. And as probably all of you do, I know I do, if my cell phone rings and I don't recognize that number or recognize that whatever pops up, I don't take the call. Remind them that they're getting a phone call on their cell phone. So if insurance pops up or something like that, the name of a carrier or insurance pops up, remind them that call's coming through. Please answer it.
Yep, for sure. Well, cool. Well, I think that is all the questions we've got here. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to give us a call here or shoot us an email at our Jetter & Company. Again, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Alan, for covering the Jet Express ticket platform.
My pleasure, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. And other than that, you guys have a great rest of your day and a great week here.